And we are officially live, I believe. I hope. Um, Welcome back, everybody, to Ash and Nell with the Cosmic Retell. Like I said in my post, it's been a minute. And Ashley and I have talked about, getting together and doing a talk. Our lives were definitely much easier last year, where neither of us were working full time, and we had the flexibility, like with our coaching and our program. So, in a good way, our lives got a little bit more stable. But as a result, we've had a harder time doing these. But we keep getting notice from our spirit guides that we need to be doing this, and we
Yeah.
are listening because we know as spiritual people we need to listen. So we are back, and Ashley, it's amazing. Like the community has grown. It's like crazy. Like back when it was like around.
2,900 members, Nellie.
I know, back like in February, I just started thinking, I want this group to grow. What do I need to do? And there was 535 people, and then it went down to 525 people. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're losing people. And I'm like, I have to do something different. And then started doing some different things and manifesting. And then now we have almost 3,000 people. That's like 6 times more. Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
That's crazy.
It's insane. I mean, like, I remember when you started the group. And it was shortly after you started it that you did a reading for me when I was going through a really hard time in my life. I had just had my son 3 months prior and had went through this whole big thing regarding my job. And you did a reading for me, and that was when I was starting to build my coaching, right? And I think it was like a full moon reading or a new moon reading. It was a moon
It
reading. I
was
remember.
it was one of the moon readings, and you were not spiritual yet.
No, and it was one of these things too where it was like I've been told my whole life that you don't mess with like tarot cards. Like you don't do that. You don't mess with oracle cards. You don't mess with that stuff. You don't.
And guess
No,
what we're now.
no, right? You don't do any of that stuff because that's not something you mess with because you're opening a door that you don't want to open, right? But my life at that point in time, I was like, well, we're just going to F around and find out because how much worse could it possibly get than how it is right now? Just like a little perspective, like financially, we were struggling. I was struggling with postpartum depression. I went through a really traumatic time with therapy, working in therapy and clinical work, where I was like so fed up with everything and I was just ready to throw it all away and just be like, screw it, I'm done. And I did for 6 months. I stepped away from it and started my own coaching business. And just do the way that the world was, it all ended up working out the way that it needed to work out. Like I was able to really claim my independence back and step into my authentic self in coaching. And I am a firm believer, I needed that. I needed to have that experience to be able to step back into therapy and be even better than when I left. And here we are, however many months later, a year later, and I'm officially a licensed professional counselor.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking at starting my own practice, and I've got a lot of other plans. But had I not went through this whole journey, like it would have, like you opened a door for me personally. And I know we talk a lot now about spirituality and how it's grown. But Nellie, like I can't even tell you how appreciative I am of you opening that door to me and showing me kind of a different perspective. It's been wonderful. My life has only gotten better because of spirituality. It's amazing.
I love that. So I wanted to point out, because we kind of just started talking, we didn't totally introduce ourselves.
No.
We should do that because there are like I was saying, there's a ton of people on here and they don't even know who the hell we are, right? And
Yeah.
like you join a group and you don't know. So I feel like I constantly have to reintroduce myself. It's sort of like this Scorpio energy that we're in, right? This like transformation and like this starting over, this death and rebirth. So I want us to introduce ourselves. I also wanted to make sure I mentioned that you were in your Saturn return. So all these transformations, like to me, you don't seem like this. I think you're 31, right? Like
32 now.
Okay, you're 32. But you are so wise that to me, I kind of forget, our age difference. I'm 47, you're 32, and I always feel like we're at the same level, even though we have a few years apart, right?
Right.
But I never felt like you were like this like young person, but you were going through this Saturn return. Like you were going through like this difficult period of all these different transformations with things with like family and home and job and all this, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And this is also the time that you were going through that spiritual awakening. And we met through my IO psychology group because I was in grad school just finishing up and you were going to do that degree. And
Yeah.
so we met like outside of spirituality. Neither of us knew any of this stuff, right?
Mhm.
So we had, and I knew you were different. Like you contacted me, we started talking, and I knew your therapy background, and you had all these ideas you wanted to like put into the workplace with this whole therapy slant and wellness. And I thought that was so cool because that was the only thing I liked about the degree was that whole like coaching and like therapy side. And I remember like you doing the homework, like you were partly into the degree with, when you started doing some of it. And then, kind of time passed and we whatever, went separate ways for a little bit. And then, I ended up seeing your posts on coaching and I was like, damn, I'm like, Ashley's killing it. And I'm like, shoot, I can't do this tech stuff. I'm like, I'm going to contact Ashley because I think she can help me. And so I was just getting into like tarot and astrology like at that time. So let's do this right. We're going to introduce ourselves, give the background, and then kind of, just share where our journey is and, where we would like to see the group go and all of that and give some wisdom. So I'm Nellie Meadow. Like Ashley was saying, I started the group back March, I guess, like what year is that? 2023, like it's a year and a half ish time. And I just started like loving astrology. I am a teacher in my background, a math teacher. I'm still doing that. I want to move away from that because I don't feel that's my calling. I really like fell in love with spirituality. With started with tarot, then I got into astrology and numerology. I love coaching people. I love working one on one with people, and I love having conversations. That if I could do that all day long, I would love that. And in the last, I don't even know how long it's exactly been. I'd have to kind of like go back in time a little bit. Maybe 5, 6 months, I started getting into hypnotherapy and quantum leaping and all of that. And I was like, I want to do this. And I said it, and now I'm doing it. So like I manifested it. So I love this. I feel like that's what I mean. I'm not like stopping astrology. I feel like that's a part of me too, but I really love working with people one on one. And since I didn't get my therapy license, which I kind of, debated getting, doing the hypnotherapy in this coaching way is giving me this opportunity to help people like with their trauma and their self-awareness and their purpose. And, that's where I'm at. And I love having this community here because there's all kinds of people in here in terms of their astrology and their spirituality, and it's exciting. So we'll talk a little bit more, but I wanted Ashley to share more about like her background. You're telling us a little bit, but just share a little bit more about you, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about what we want to see going forward.
Yeah. So I'm in Virginia. I live in Virginia. I graduated in 2018 with a master's degree in counseling and human development. Started working in the clinical field and moved to Central Virginia. And I've worked in various settings in mental health, everything from crisis to substance use to drug court. Now doing more of like a private practice sort of setting. And I've delved into relationship and individual coaching. I've coached moms. I'm a mom myself. I have 2 children and then 3 bonus kids as well. So yeah, 5 kids. It's a lot. All while juggling all of this stuff that I have going on in life. And as of a year and a half ago, I started delving more into spirituality and understanding what that meant for me personally. I didn't grow up super religious. I always joke. I'm like, my grandmother is a former nun. Yes, former. And then my father, he's a Jehovah's Witness. So this sort of stuff is not like you don't really delve into it. But now my grandmother, I've done readings for her, and it's been amazing. My dad, not so much. Just gonna leave that one be. But he, I've delved into spirituality, started to doing cards, just kind of learned about astrology, started doing cards on my own, just doing readings for myself and my husband and some close friends, and then started kind of branching out a little bit more and started a community in my local area on Facebook. And the area that I live in, we have one of the largest Harry Potter festivals in our town. And I actually set up a table, we set up our community, Central Virginia Spirituality, set up a table at the event. And I had a few people who were there able to do, I did oracle readings and some mediumship work. I had a friend who did life path and past life readings, and then another one who did oracle angel readings. So, it's just about building community. And when I start to tell people, I've only been doing this for a year and a half, they look at me like I'm crazy.
Because you're natural. Remember, I told you when I saw you flip cards the first time, I'm like, Ashley, you need to be doing this. You picked it up really quickly, and you have a good sense of intuition. Like you have that psychic energy, and I'm so excited that you have continued with it, and especially getting deeper with the mediumship now too.
Yes. I'm really delving right now a lot deeper into mediumship, and I'm part of practice groups, and the practice groups that I've been on online, like I hadn't really done a lot here lately in the practice groups online, and today I put myself out there and did a little practice, and the feedback I got was just spot on. I've done a couple of readings in just the past couple of days, and they've been pretty spot on as well. So it's just like really, I'm starting to get more and more tapped in and getting a better understanding. And even though, a year and a half doesn't seem like a long period of time in the grand scheme of things, Nellie, I literally practice every single day. There have been occasions, of course, life where I've not practiced, but 95% of the time I am practicing every single day. And it's just those baby steps over time. And I'm just kind of reaping the benefits of really delving into the practice. It's incredible. And I'm just so grateful. I just have a lot of gratitude because now I can combine that clinical therapy knowledge as well as the spirituality. And it's just a whole new ball of wax. Like it's a whole new game that we're in. And I've been fortunate enough for the universe to send me people who are also into spirituality, who are coming to me for therapy.
Right.
So I've manifested that into existence, which has been amazing as well. It's incredible.
I love how you mention your practice, because sometimes people just think like, oh, boom, you're like born the psychic from birth, and like you can't like learn these skills. But like just like with anything in life, you have to practice to get better at it. It's like that with it's like that with everything. And like our mutual friend Kim, who talks all about the psychic and the medium, like she also talks about the fact that like, yes, she had this gift when she was younger, but she's always like honing her skill and working at it and teaching other people. So yeah, it's not literally by magic, like we have to do things to get better, and learn and get people comfortable with it too, I think as well. Because as we're more comfortable, we're able to share it with others. And so they're like thinking, oh my God, that way they don't get freaked out by this thing. And, there's always going to be the naysayers and all of that. But
there's nothing more that I love than having a skeptic come to me.
Right.
I had somebody who was in law enforcement, had a very like scientific background. Like they weren't very spiritual. And I did a reading, and I kind of felt like a grandmother come through, and I had gotten up to go use the restroom, and then was coming back to do a reading for his daughter. And when I was in the restroom, like I was standing there and I heard "Lost in the Line of Duty," like clear as day in my mind. I heard "Lost in the Line of Duty," and I was like, that was meant for him. And I went back and I was like, hey, did you lose somebody in the line of duty? And he just kind of stopped and looked at me like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And I told him like what the message was, and you just saw his eyes well up with tears. And I told him, I was like, I'm a therapist. Like I have a psychology background. I know how our minds work to where we can find these things to make it make sense, right? But the things that have happened in my life, I don't have an explanation. And I think in that moment he was like, okay, this is not bullshit, It's amazing. It's amazing. You have to be okay with being wrong.
Right. And I agree with you, because some of my best readings are those who do tend to be more religious, and I'm religious as well. It's like you can be both.
Yeah,
and they're very skeptical, and when they get information that, you know what, I'm not a medium, but I do the tarot cards, and like something comes up, and it triggers something for them, and I say something that, like, how could that be, like, I wouldn't have known that information, then it's like you make a believer out of them. So those are like my favorites, because it's like I like getting the people who are like first time, getting a tarot reading, first time getting an astrology reading, first time getting a hypnotherapy session. So many people come, because I think curious, but also because they're struggling with something. Nobody comes to us because everything is great in their life. They're coming because they're struggling and they have a problem. They're blocked. They're stuck. They need some guidance. They want some awareness. And I mean, that was kind of for me too. Like, I felt like almost literally at a crossroads when I got into tarot. I don't know exactly what got me into it, but I just was kind of feeling like, okay, I just got another degree. Now what? And nothing was like working out. And I was just like, I just need something different. I just need something else. And I don't know. It just like the tarot just I got into crystals a little bit, and started learning about like energy and Reiki a little, and I didn't feel like that was like my calling, but then something kind of just drew me to the tarot cards. I went to a metaphysical shop to get a crystal, and then I did get the crystal, but then I also left with my first tarot deck, and from there I never stopped, so it was just kind of like, I don't know what it was. I knew nothing about tarot before, really knew nothing, but I was like, yeah, I think I need to get these cards. And then and everything went from there. So I really feel like I was living under a rock until that point, and I didn't know anything about this world, until I got introduced, somebody. So, and then there's no turning back, so
Yeah, it's like once you open that door and you start stepping into it, there's just no going back. And it's not a bad thing. That's the thing, is it's not something that's negative. That there are a lot of things that you have to work through. Like, there's a lot of growth when you open this door, and there are a lot of things that will come up, like such as the shadow work. So sometimes you can have the fear come up, and I know I experienced that, and I think Nellie, you went through that with me, where
I know we were both dealing with Pluto, right? We were both dealing with, I got my solar return done the summer before last summer, 2023. And then I did your solar return, and we realized we were both dealing with this like Pluto opposition. And we had different Pluto oppositions, but we were both dealing with Pluto. And I was like, what the hell is Pluto? Like, I didn't even know much about Pluto besides like what you learn about Pluto as this like small dwarf planet, and then we kind of had this epiphany, like, we need to work on this, and what does this mean? And there was a whole big connection with tying it into shadow work and the work of Carl Jung. And we did like our webinars, we had a Facebook group, like we came up with spreads. Like, you saw these cards at some store, and you texted me that day, you're like, Nellie, I think you need to get these cards. And then I did, and then
I got them too. We both did.
Created a whole program. I mean,
you sent them to me. You sent them to me. You went and bought them on Amazon and sent them to me.
Right. I remember the line on Pluto, and so it's just so interesting because it connects to therapy. Connects to the shadow work. It also connects to astrology. And like right now, actually, it's kind of a good segue, because right now, the sun is squaring Pluto, or Pluto is squaring the sun, whichever way you want to look at it. And that is not an easy energy, because Pluto is this powerful planet of like death and rebirth and transformation and power and like illuminating the shadows, right? That nobody wants to like talk about, right? It's like the 12th house where everything is like kind of hidden, but then Pluto comes in and wants us to see it. So right now, today, we are dealing with it. So it's kind of like some people are talking about like certain things are ending, and we have this eclipse energy, which also was like these powerful endings, and it's like continuing. And so and I posted on this today, anybody who has a planet in their 29th degree, we're feeling like these endings. And there's also, I think Neptune's in 29th degree as well. And so I have my sun in the 29th degree. So for me, like my whole life, everything goddamn feels intensive because of that. But especially like on a day like today, we're going to feel it. And it's also, of course, Cancer moon, and we're both Cancers. and and we just hit Scorpio season, so we're going to have a whole month of transformation. And actually, if you recall last year, we kicked off our webinar when Scorpio season started, and we were like, oh my gosh, maybe that's not the best time because that's crazy. But at the same time, like, it was perfect because that's exactly what we were dealing with all the shadow work. And I'm like, what better time than Scorpio season, when this is this natural time to like change things up and be our empowered self and be authentic and wade through the bullshit, like deal with all the shame and deal, all that stuff that nobody wants to talk about, and yeah, I don't know, we probably should do more with Pluto again, but yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, this is, really important. And just like everything in the community, I feel like doing what we can to like support our community. So yeah, it's been a while. We have not done our lives. StreamYard did make things easier. So like we've had to like, switch it up, and Restream isn't the perfect solution, and we'll see like if we'll use this going forward. But yeah, I definitely want us to, keep talking more astrology. I don't know, maybe have like panel discussions, because we can invite others with us. And so I think that's a good idea. So yeah, I know we haven't like brainstormed it exactly, but I know we want to do more for the community, because there's a lot of people here who need more. It doesn't even have to be astrology, but just like need more spirituality in their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many questions out there about what that means, what that looks like, how it ties into different things, how it ties into religion, how everything's interconnected. There's so much there. And I know in my group, I've had a lot of conversations about that. Every single Sunday, I'm going out and I'm doing readings at a local business, and just set up right down in Main Street outside. And so many people come up asking questions, and we're learning together. I don't know everything, and I will be the first to say, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I do have some idea on some things, but there's a lot of things that I still don't know. And I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to grow, and I'm willing to say, I don't know. However, let's find out. And I think that's the beauty of it, is like, yes, I may know some more than other people, and there are things that I don't know that other people know, but we're all learning from each other. That doesn't make me less or more or any, like, we're all equal. We're all equal, and we're all on this journey together. And it's amazing. And it's amazing how many people are really waking up to spirituality. It's beautiful. I love it so much.
Right. I feel like that, like the eclipse is, I think, did it, but also like the Lionsgate portal. And we're getting into the age of Aquarius, right? It's like all this, like, things are shifting. Pluto's about to go back into Aquarius, because Pluto's.
Nellie, I remember when we talked about when Pluto first went into Aquarius, and we were like, oh, around, this time, it's going to go back into Capricorn, and then it's going to come out. And I did a reading today, a collective reading that was talking a lot about a lot of that something was going to happen in the next week that was going to kind of open people's eyes collectively to something different. Like, it's going to be in this thing of enlightenment. So it's very interesting to kind of look back at where things are at astrologically as you're talking and thinking about my collective reading that I did this morning.
It's all connected. Mm-hmm. There's no accidents, I always say. And yeah, November 19th, I believe, is the day when everything shifts. And once Pluto goes into Aquarius, I don't think it's shifting back. I'll have to double check. But I think it's supposed to stay there for 20 years, which is a long period of time. And the thing is that Pluto, these cycles last so long that the last time there was this Pluto cycle, I don't think there was written history. Like, this goes back like 250 years. So I don't know. And our lives back then were so different than our lives now. So It's not like we can necessarily even use that time to help us move forward. Like, we're living in this time of AI. There's so much shifting. Who knows what's happening with politics? Who knows what's happening with the world? There's so much going on that it's, and they didn't know what was going to be like with Pluto and Capricorn either, right? Like, Pluto was in Capricorn all this time, and Capricorn rules businesses, and like a lot of different things change there. So it's all kind of predictive. Like, it's just guesses. We don't really know. So Aquarius is this like really innovative energy. We talked about this in one of our lives. I know we did.
Sure did.
And it's like this innovative energy. It's creative. It's like, doing things for the good of humanity, the good of the collective, which I think is personally awesome. Aquarius can be a little bit detached, emotionally and all of that. So there is that. But I think like we're at a time where innovation is great. I guess it's all in terms of like how it's going to be used. Are we going to do things for the betterment of society? Because I always worry about AI. Is it going to take away too many jobs? And is it going to automate so many things where we're not thinking and what's
Mhm.
going to happen? So hopefully not, hopefully not. But I'm just trying to like stay in the positive, right? And be mindful of like all these changes. So yeah, Pluto is going to be a big player. And I always kind of think of there's certain times I just kind of think about Pluto. Like everybody's always like focusing on their sun, moon, and rising. And I'm not taking away from that. That's important. But also like understanding your Saturn with like what are your karmic contracts? What are these karmic lessons that came up, right? Like that's so key. What about Chiron? And that like ties into your work, right? What are these
Absolutely.
emotional wounds that we have? You can look at a person's astrology chart and say, hey, I looked at somebody's today. I'm like, oh, Chiron's in the seventh house. I bet you got some issues with relationships because you got some emotional wounding there. And so it's like, it's just like knowing that I think is just so helpful. And then of course, Pluto, which is the power plays. And I think it's such a key player. So yeah, I'm hoping people get more into it now that we'll be hearing more about Pluto shifting into Aquarius and the age of Aquarius and what that means.
Right.
And we're here for it, right? Like I feel like we're both community builders. Like that's like part of like our title. I think that's why we were kind of like drawn together. When I looked at your chart and I thought about my chart, I'm like, yeah, that's whether it's building things online or building things in community, like in the physical community where you're going out and seeing people, like that's what it's about. That's what
And
they did
that's
in
not
the days,
even the past
right?
life connection or any of that, Nellie, right? Like, not to even mention that, but just like this in
Right.
general. It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we have to connect together because I feel like we've gotten so impersonal, especially since the pandemic, that we have to connect with community. Like we can't do it alone. Like we can't do it in isolation. So it's like we need to go back to, what the times were like even a couple hundred years ago where they were like helping each other more. Like we've gotten
Well,
away from that.
Nellie, and like we see glimpses of that, right? I mean, you look at North Carolina and Tennessee and how they've reacted. I mean, I've had people from my area go and like boots on the ground helping people, and I know it's happened everywhere. And it's like that is what we need to get back to. We've become so detached from that, and this isn't to make anything into a political conversation whatsoever, because whatever. But it's like, I heard people saying like, well, government's not really helping a whole lot. It's really the community that's coming together and helping. Like they are helping more than anybody. And if we can bring that energy back, oh my gosh, like the collective is so powerful. And once we start to realize how powerful we truly are, we're going to move mountains, like literally. I mean, we are literally moving mountains. So,
It's all
uh,
shifting. It's all
yeah,
changing. Everything I hear, especially 'cause I listen to a lot of a spirituality podcast. There's a lot of talk about how the world is changing and things are shifting, and into the positive. Like because we have to. Because if we don't, like what's going to happen to the earth, right? What's going to happen to the world? So,
yeah,
I believe that like we are here on this earth at this moment. Like our souls chose to reincarnate now because of this
yeah,
powerful mission that we have. I hear it all the time. So I'm
yeah,
like, I need to say it. Like
absolutely.
it's not an accident that we're here right now. And
Right. And
not
so
every
many
not,
light
not
workers.
everybody right. And I was gonna say not everybody's gonna do the things that we're doing, but if they can listen, right? If they can listen to the leaders who are gonna help, yeah,
It's amazing too, because you're having it's like the light workers and the star seeds. It's like the light work for the light workers, the light is being turned on. And it's like, oh, okay, I knew that there was something else. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And then they're starting to open their eyes to all of these other things. And then they're helping others open their eyes to how much more there truly is. It's all starting to make sense, and the puzzle pieces are finally coming together slowly but surely. And that's going to continue over time, Nelly. Like it's going to keep going. I do a little bit of channeling work here and there, and even in I mean, when I do readings, a lot of it's channeled anyway. But it's like this keeps coming through, and it's not just me who's saying it. It's just consistently coming. And you look at the astrology, and it's aligning too. Like things are changing at such a deep level, and it's going to be incredible. It's going to be a huge shift.
yep. And then yeah, I was also thinking about as you're talking, I was thinking about the planet Uranus because it brings like massive change and it's like the rule breaker. And like when Uranus was in like this similar situation, however many years ago, like we had all the different revolutions, right? And so it's like that's about to be happening now. So there's going to be like a powerful shakeup. And
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes things have to, it's like the tower in tarot.
Yep.
Sometimes we have to have like those like challenging moments and like to like burn everything down to make things better, to start anew. And I think we're going to see that, you know,
Yeah.
not just in the US, but all around things are changing.
Yeah, and it's happening. I mean, I don't watch the news too much, but I mean, you think natural disasters, right? Like fires. Wisconsin had those fires, and like there was a bunch of stuff on fire, and then we had the floods. And anytime there's some kind of natural disaster, it's like things grow up even more incredible. And it's like our country, at least our country. I can't speak because I don't know about everything else in the world. I don't live there, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure they would resonate as well. It's like our country right now is I don't want to say burned to the ground, but something's got to change, right? People are fed up with how things have been, regardless of which side you stand on. And things sometimes, like you said, have to get worse before they get better. Um, and it's gonna get better because when you hit the bottom, you can only go so far down before it starts to come.
Right. Yeah. Like I feel like that's so true too. All right, lots of good talk. I know, you know me, like I could talk all day about all this stuff. So what I was telling you is I wanted to do something for the community, like what we did before, because I feel like we're able to connect with people, and it's like now we've gotten so big. There's pluses and minuses, right? So it's like I don't even know who's in the group. There's so many people, and the people in the group don't know who's in the group. So I'm like, we got to think about some things. So we were wanting to do more like things that we did before, with whether it was a Zoom or like a Google Meet chat, just to have people kind of like talk astrology, talk spirituality, get to know each other. Like I made some great connections over those few times we did it, and I talked to some of those people still. You
Yep.
know, a couple of those people became my coaching clients, and it was just like we wouldn't have known each other otherwise, because even at that time the group was still bigger. Maybe there was 1,000 people at that point. So for those of you who are watching, keep an eye out, like stay tuned. Ideas are developing. I feel like we're like in this prime time of this Scorpio season, and just taking some time to like have ideas, because like I don't know, I miss connecting with people. Like I feel like sometimes I get caught up in my own little world, and I can be a hermit sometimes and MIA, and then I realize like I am not like connecting, and I need to do it because that's like really important for me, because just building community is really important for me. Like I want that. I don't want people to just come here just to get like, just see a picture or see a meme. I want people to like really feel like a sense of like others, So
Community. Yeah.
so we will figure that out. There will be more coming up in the future. I see there have been people with us. A really annoying thing about Restream is like I cannot see comments. I missed that with the StreamYard, and we used to see that. And like so I didn't put on my YouTube channel to see what was going on. I know back when I did it before, I couldn't always see the comments. So I don't know if Ashley, if there's anything that came up or what, because I feel like I don't know if we got any comments or not, but we do appreciate you guys being here.
So the only comments I see are the ones that are popping up on my side of Restream, from a Henny Beauty, and then from Kitty Cat Black. Kitty Cat Black says, "Hi, dearests. Beautiful British Columbia. I am a believer." And then Henny Beauty says, "Hi, new member from Facebook. I have been feeling the shift. And is this connected to the age or Aquarius?" I don't know if that was supposed to say or of.
Yeah, I think it is, but I think there's just so many factors at play. There's so much going on. Like anytime you like, you look, there's like so much going on with astrology, and like I feel like this particular time, and those eclipses, like the Libra Aries eclipses, like they have been powerful. We're almost done with that, but it's like this energy of, oh, look what card I just got. I was just flipping cards. The energy of me versus we.
Mm-hmm.
Is so big, and I have my north node is Libra, so I have this constant battle of I versus we. And so I think a lot of people I tend to be meeting either have their north node or south node, Aries, Libra, whatever, So I feel like we're feeling it. And even if that's not your particular North Node, we're collectively feeling this energy of this North Node Aries to be empowered and to be independent and to go forward. And then as I didn't even ask the question, but in my mind I was asking, what do we need to know? And I got the strength card in tarot, which I feel like is so fitting because this is a rough time. I mean, not just today, but just like for this period of time. And I feel like this is good wisdom to have strength. It's not always easy to have strength. But I think like when we connect with other people, that definitely helps. We don't, when we're trying to just do it alone, I think it's kind of hard, but I think just having others around us um, helps us, feel strong and empowered. So I think this card was fitting. I don't know if anybody who's on wants a card. If you do, we'll check in a minute and see. But Ashley, go ahead and let you do a card, and
Yes.
we'll do Pluto later here.
All right. I've got one card, but I want to pull another one because the cards I'm using the spellcasting oracle deck. I was like, it's spooky season. Let's do a little bit of spooky cards. Give me just a second. I'm gonna pull another one. First one I got here is closure. So closure, like there's this closure that's happening. It's closing one door and opening into another, right? It's walking away from the old and stepping into the new. Let me see what else here. Oh, I said stepping into the new, and the card that popped out is one of them's new beginnings. I'm going to confirm to make sure.
I mean, that's so fitting, right? Because we're just starting Scorpio season, and we've had so many different endings, like several planets in the 29th degree. We're feeling it. Whether you have 29th degree or not, doesn't matter. We're all feeling it. What needs to end? What needs to be shed? What needs
new beginnings? So we got closure and new beginnings for those first two cards here. So stepping out of something and stepping into something new. So there's a door closing behind the person here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try. There's a door closing there behind the person. They're walking away from it. And it's like this is kind of the collective energy. We're walking away, but we're walking into this new beginnings. It kind of looks like a doorway, right? Like we're walking into this. And it's beautiful. It's going to be wonderful. Go ahead, Nellie. What you got?
It's like the World card in tarot, right? The endings and new beginnings. We have to be able to make room for the new. We have to say goodbye to the old, right? So, yeah, I was going to do Pluto just because it's fitting today. I feel like it's fitting most days anyway, but it's especially fitting today. So, yeah, I want to see what we need to know collectively from the Oracle of Pluto. What does the group need to know? I love these cards. Of course, nothing wants to come out right now. All right, let's see. I like the cards you got. Like it was like totally fitting. I mean, tarot and oracle, like I always tell people, they don't lie. It always tells us what we need to know, and there's no accidents.
No, there are no accidents. You're absolutely right. I
don't know what's the deal here. You know what? Sometimes when I'm in an emotional state, cards don't want to flip out. I'm feeling okay. I'm just feeling like I do feel like the energy is a bit different today. Okay, so we got House Cat, which I don't get often. I'm going to read a little bit about this card. It's hard to see here. House Cat. And I know when we were doing our Pluto Facebook group, when we were doing the webinars, like we had the cards like pretty much memorized. Like, oh yeah, House Cat means this. I don't know them as much anymore. There's certain ones that come up when I do them, but I'm like...
That deck's a little bit harder to memorize than some of the other ones, and it's hard to use your intuition with that one. That one's very much a very specific deck.
It is. So House Cat says, choices, the easy way out, rewilding. So it says that in a reading, the House Cat asks us about the decisions we're making and whether they're in alignment with what we truly want. I mean, is that any more fitting for Scorpio season, right? Like, it's all about like being our authentic self and in alignment. So I think that's perfect. As humans, we are prone to taking the path of least resistance, the comfortable, familiar path. Yeah, and this North Node Aries energy does not want us doing that. Um, just because something is comfortable doesn't always mean it's good. It's time to get honest with yourself. Are you moving toward growth, towards your desires, towards your needs? Or are you staying complacent because at least you know what to expect? Right. It's kind of like, stay with the devil, kind of thing. But we have to be careful because this is a time of growth. Like we're being propelled forward, I feel, for it. So we need to listen. Think of the feral nature a cat never loses. There's a part of you that is also begging to be free, to be wild. I feel like Sagittarius energy, to embrace the risk of trying something new. Also, like it's like that fire energy, right? It's highly likely this is the truest version of yourself. Very Scorpio. Let that part out of the house. I like this. I think this card was exactly what we needed to hear today. Like, and I'm not saying that we have to always be like hustling and trying to achieve everything under the sun, but at the same time, like holding yourself back and thinking like things are just going to come to you without any action, that's not how it works. Like somebody's not going to just come knocking on your door and give you everything you want. I truly believe you have to take action. You can manifest things, you can write things down on a piece of paper, but it's not going to magically happen unless you take action on what you manifest. So I think this is really important. Like, be in alignment, be authentic, be real. What do you want? Okay, now that you know, do it. Use that earth energy, right? Like, it's also that earth energy. Like, make the thing happen. Have the passion around it, but make the thing happen of whatever you want. So
the universe supports forward movement. Absolutely. When you take a step in that direction to say, hey, I want to do this, you make that step, they're going to say, okay, we got you. We got you. No matter what, the universe supports us unconditionally. Unconditionally. Like when we think about unconditional love, like regardless of what decisions you make, the universe is going to support you. And the universe is going to love you. Spirit's going to love you no matter what. I got 2 more cards, Nellie. I got 2 more cards. Are you ready?
Right, let's do it.
So I've got protection and healing. And look at how similar those cards are. Protection and healing. So this protection card is like the earth is protected. Like we're all protected, right? It's one of these things where it's like the earth's not going to just magically, well, we will wake up one day and the earth's going to explode. Like this, it's not going to happen. But this is a time of healing, right? Like there is spirit is protecting this earth, right? It is a time of healing. It is a time of healing. So the things that are happening, there can be this chaos, right? But again, going back to closing doors and opening to new beginnings. That's really what's going on collectively right now, and something to really keep in mind. This is a time of a lot of tension, a lot of hostility, given election season and everything else that's going on in the world. But this is a time of healing. The age that we are in is a time of healing. Stay steadfast in your ways and be in the ways of love. Show love wherever you go. Be the light you see. Plant the seeds of love, right? It's not always easy. And love sometimes means setting healthy boundaries.
Yes. Just left Libra season, which is all about the boundaries. And yes, boundaries are so important. And I know we've talked about them a bit, especially with your background in therapy. So yes, we need to have the boundaries. And right, if we emanate love, we will get love back. Right. Yes. That's so important. Even if you're not always getting that love from others, but like all the negativity cannot survive. It'll like bounce off of you if you're emanating love. So I agree. Like that's part of our mission. And I think the healing is so important too, because I talk to so many people, no matter what I'm doing, in whatever capacity, there's so many people that are struggling, whatever ages they are. And the memories are getting triggered. There's like so much trauma. And it's like now we're like having these conversations and everybody has healing to do. And new things come up and there's new healing to do. So like we're never done. There's always more. So
And the thing is too, Nellie, that we heal each other. Like by sharing our stories and the things that we have been through, we allow others that opportunity to share, like, I've been through this. That everybody has a story to tell, right? And that is how we heal. It's that being able to be vulnerable in community, because we're not meant to do this alone, even in healing. There's a podcaster who I listen to who quotes another guy who I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, Dr. John Deloney. He says all the time, grief demands a witness. And we grieve so many things in our lives. We can grieve the fact that things don't look the way we want to. We can grieve loved ones who have passed. We can grieve so much, but grief demands a witness, meaning we have to heal together. We are not meant to heal alone.
It's true, and it's very powerful. You are right. And yeah, it just made me think of like my hypnotherapy course. My teacher was saying at the very end, like what we have to offer others is our story.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we know the skills and we do the background and all of that, but in the end, why are people coming to us? How are we drawing people in? What do we really have to give?
Mm-hmm.
It's what we've experienced. It's our own personal experiences, our own story. And we're able to help people who are living in a narrative that they need to leave, so that way they can move forward in their life and like be the best version of themselves. And so yeah, like I feel like that's so powerful.
Absolutely.
Whichever thing you're doing, right, whichever energy work, it's all like the same message, because we all need each other, so it's awesome.
Yes.
So yes, I'm looking at the time like, well, we talked a long time, right? Like, I don't know if it's at 44 minutes, my special number, but it's been quite a bit. So it's probably time to wrap up and say goodnight. And I'm excited that we had a number of people join us, especially with the way this restream is. It doesn't hit like all 3,000 people, but we will share this video to the community so other people can see it, and we will let you guys know when we're going to do more conversations, because there's more things that are coming up. I think Scorpio season's a great time to get back into it. So Ashley, I'm really excited we got a chance to talk. I miss you. I miss all of our conversations. It forced me to keep up with all the astrology more than I have been, so I will make sure we do it more.
We've always been good accountability buddies. So
Yeah. What any last words, and how can people aside from this community? I know you're doing things in other virtual places, in your own coaching. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they best reach you?
yeah, I would say, send me a message on Facebook. You're more than welcome. I know the group that we have is Central Virginia Spirituality. I know it says Central Virginia, but it's really not limited to Central Virginia. It's kind of expanded. So if you're into spirituality and learning and growing more and building in community, also more than welcome to join that group where I do multiple weekly live readings for collective. I'll go on there and pull cards randomly for people as well. Or yeah, just send me a message. I do card readings, I do mediumship readings, spiritual development, understanding, just open for questions. I just love connecting with others.
Awesome. And I'm also part of that community, and I live in Ohio. So I like being a part of it and seeing like what you're up to and getting a card every now and again. So it's awesome. And then for me, I mean, you guys know I'm in this community, and you can also catch me on my coaching page, North Node and Coaching. I do also have a women's group, which is in city of Cleveland, and there's like 7,000 women there, like that group, crazy community there. So I'm not as active there, just don't have time to do that too. But I do know that we have some people in the astrology group that are also in that Cleveland group. So yeah, I think, just reach out to us if you have a question, if you want a reading of some kind, or if we're not the best person to help, we probably know somebody who can. We know a lot
Absolutely.
of different, we have a lot of resources. That's one of the things I like to do is connect people with resources and people that are helpful, because we don't know everything. I know the things I know the things Ashley knows, but we don't know all of it. There's other people who have experience in other areas. So we'll direct you. So we have a lot of people, even in just this community, who can help out a lot. So I feel very fortunate to be able to have that. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and we'll do more. And thanks again, Ashley, for taking the time tonight to chat with me. I'm glad we did this, and there will be more.
Yeah, thank you, Nellie, and thank you guys for joining us. And we'll talk soon.
All right, everybody, have a good night. Happy